This podcast episode is brought to you by Grazing Surf. Grazing Surf is an upcoming foodery for the DMV foodies. Go ahead and check them out on Instagram at Grazing Surf. That is GRAZNSURF. And follow them and be ready to be out there once they go live. You want to definitely be a part of it. There's going to be a lot of things going on with them. So definitely, if you're craving the West African taste, you should be following Grazing Surf. This podcast is also brought to you by 86 Majesty. 86 Majesty is a black company built by black men for black men. 86 Majesty is changing the narrative of the black man, especially in the United States of America. Go ahead and check them out on 86majesty.com and follow them on Instagram at _86majesty and see what they're all about. This podcast episode is brought to you by Destiny Chasers Academy. Going after your dreams and destiny can be quite a journey. However, having us along with you means you don't have to trek that path alone. Go ahead and check them out on destinychasersacademy.com and see what they're all about. They have a private coaching which is called Destiny Prime. You definitely want to check this out. Hey people, it's your boy Ish and welcome to season 3 of the podcast. Now in this season we have a lot in store for you the listeners, but in case you're a new listener, let me reintroduce Loudly Saying It to you. This is a podcast that is aimed at young black men. In the podcast we talk about life, relationships, business, health, and any other topics you've always wanted to discuss, but we're too afraid to. Look, there's no judgment here, so let's just jump right in. What's up, people? It's your boy Ish, and this is another episode of Loudly Saying It. Now, this is season 3, so I wanted to remind you guys how the episodes go, and also wanted to let you guys know that some of the episodes are going to have videos like this one, and some are just going to be audio. So for those of you on my text group, you're definitely going to be the first people to get the link when the video ones go up, and maybe sometimes when the audio ones go up, so you get to listen to them first or watch them first before everybody else. The reason why I do that is because you guys are part of my text group. We chit chat all the time, so I feel like you guys deserve this. If you want to be on the text group, just text the number below and you get up. So this is an intro episode. It's just to tell you guys how things are going to break down. If you haven't listened to the podcast before, go back and listen to some of them so you can kind of catch up. But if you don't want to do all that, that's fine. So let me go ahead and let you know how the podcast breaks down. We usually have, I'll say, 3 sections. The first section is usually where we get to introduce the guest. We talk about who the guest is, what they do, and all that stuff. So this is where I introduce you to my guest. The second section is where we talk about current issues. But keep in mind that whatever we talk about is gonna have something to do with what the theme of that episode is. And usually you can kind of peep that theme based on the title. I'm not trying to be elusive with what's going on or whatever, and that's where we try to see how current issues are affecting that. The third section is what I call flex your work. So, and I know we introduced the guests at the first section, but the third section is where they really get to flex what they do. And this is where we dig deeper into the reason why they're even on the show. You know, why did Ish get this person to be on the show? This is where that comes. And this is where you get to see or hear what I saw in them that I thought you guys can benefit from. And then we have the last section, and this is where I always ask the guests one thing, and I love to call this section "Say It Out Loud," because this is where I ask the guests to say, what is one issue that is affecting the black community, especially black men, that you would like to address? And what are you doing to let it be known to others? And how can we, myself and my audience, help you achieve this goal or spread this out more? And I'm telling you now, guys, I have heard a lot of awesome things that people are doing. So if you are wondering if there are people out there that care enough for what you're going through, they care enough to help change things for the black community, let me tell you now that they do. And they're out there and they're doing things. So those are the sections that you're going to be getting. Some episodes about 45 minutes, and a few episodes are a little longer just because we just kept going, and it just felt too good of a conversation to stop it. And some episodes about 35 to 40 minutes. We have a bunch of solo episodes where it's just me talking to you, sharing some things with you. We have episodes where it's me and a guest, and for most of those episodes, it's a remote interview because of what's going on with COVID. And for the other interviews, we have a few in-person interviews, and we have one or two with some guest hosts. And you guys asked by popular demand that I bring back on my co-host, and she's going to be joining me in a few episodes as well. So I cannot wait for you guys to listen and watch these. And we have some returning guests, we have some new guests, and we have some topics that are pretty sensitive, and it's okay because that's what we're all about. We're all about discussing the topics and subjects that you usually want to but are afraid to. And if you haven't already subscribed to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and do that. You can subscribe to any podcast platform that you listen your podcast to. You can do Spotify, you can do TuneIn, you can do Spreaker. Any podcast platform that you use, you'll find us there. Just go ahead to the search bar and type Loudly Saying It, and it'll pop up. Now, a few people have asked me and said, "Yo, Ish, why do I only see episode 4 and the rest? Why not 1, 2, 3? Well, something had happened with my Spreaker hosting system where I ended up losing the first 3 episodes. Now, the first episode was just me ranting. Well, not ranting, was just celebrating starting the podcast. The second episode, I don't even remember what it was about. And the third was again just celebrating. Now, the fourth is where we really started having conversations. And so you're not missing much. And unfortunately, I do not have the files for those first 3 episodes. I've tried several times. Spreaker has tried several times, and they claim they can't recover them. But it's okay. All these other episodes you still have. So go ahead and start listening from season 1 and go into 2 so you can be ready for 3. Hey, we're going to be talking about Cheeto Orange. We're talking about COVID. We're talking about TikTok. We're talking about the blossoming of anime on TikTok. We're talking about Blacks for Trump. We're talking about sex. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about the prison system. We're talking about raising teenagers. We're talking about everything, guys. We're talking about AIDS. We're talking about the LGBTQ community. We're talking about friendships. We're talking about relationships. talking about business. There's so much we're going to be talking about that you don't want to miss this. You want to be a part of this conversation. If you know somebody that wants to be a part or should be a part of this conversation, share the podcast with them. Let them subscribe. I just tell them to follow me on Instagram. And I changed the Instagram handle. It's no longer Mr. Gander. It's the Ish Gander. It's TheIshGanda. I thought Mr. Gander needed to retire because it's been used for other things. So I'm going with the Ish Gander now because everybody calls me Ish. And I didn't want to just shock you guys by taking away the Gander, so I added that. And just have them follow me at the Ish Gander. It's the same thing on Twitter as well. And if you want to follow me on my website as well, you can go to www.mrgander.com or www.ishgander.com. Whichever one you use is going to take you to the same website. And I have some professional news on my side that I'll be sharing with you guys as well. So I cannot wait for you guys to see what we have in store for you guys to experience what we have in store for you. Thank you. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube videos because that's how you're going to be getting the video versions of the podcast. And let's get it, people. It's going to be an awesome day. And you want to be a part of this.